All right, class. I had said I would record something brief on telemarketing to make sure that we don't just skip over it. We don't want to do that. It is an important part of direct marketing. So this is a very much cut down lecture I'm recording here. Yes, there's somebody who's doing some kind of telemarketing. There are four basic kinds of telemarketing. They're inbound. It's inbound telemarketing where customers call you, and outbound where you call them. And then there's B2B, and there's B2C. So when you put it all together, there are four kinds. I'm going to start with a little joke from, I think, what is my favorite magazine and my favorite cartoonist in the magazine, Roz Chast. This is from the New Yorker. Forget it. Probably some stupid telemarketer. Ring, 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 ring. Why is that plastic thing making all that noise? Ring, 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 ring. That is so invasive. Yes. I think one of the most familiar. Let me switch to slideshow view so it looks a little nicer here, folks. Okay. So spoofing, I'm sure, is a word that you guys have heard. This is where someone's pretending to be somebody else, or they're disguising their origin to try to reach you. And this is a common trick of outbound B2C telemarketing, which is really kind of the naughty part of the business. So neighbor spoofing is what it's called in telemarketing. This is when you're getting a robocall, which is illegal in most cases, by the way. And the number shown as the origin of the caller looks similar to your area code, or it's an area code you recognize. And so you think it might be somebody you know, and you answer. And this is because the robocallers have the ability to get information about area codes that are near you, and they can therefore falsify the originating number. It's called neighbor spoofing, by the way. And yes, I mean, let's face it, the naughty side of telemarketing, which is businesses or shady businesses calling and robocalling, is the one that really has the bad reputation. And this is just some information about there's a lot of fraud out there in addition to just trying to sell you a car warranty. And I must have gotten, I don't know, several hundred at least calls to my mobile phone and to my home phone, the landline that I almost never use, and no one has that number. And I almost never even answer it. I usually just hang up if it's ringing. It's all robocalls. But yes, there are those. But there's also out and out fraud. Some of you may know people, have relatives who've been victims of scams. I mean, one scam, a very good friend of mine got taken in by, this is an older gentleman, was he got a phone call. It was a young man's voice on the line who said, "Hey, well, who is it? It's your favorite grandson." And then, because they don't know, for some reason they don't know the name of the grandson, although they could probably pull it off your Facebook, they wanted to. And then the so-called favorite grandson says he's in jail, it's a mistake, something, he needs some money right away. Could Grandpa put, $3,000 on his credit card? And my friend actually did it. And this is one of the savviest business people I know who did it. So, and a lot of it is targeting older Americans for phone fraud. 56% of telemarketing fraud victims were 50 or older, and they're only 36% of the overall population. So you've got annoying calls, robocalls for all this stuff, and then you've also got outright fraud. But it's all what's called outbound. It's the fraudster, the company calling you. So there were just a couple of issues kind of up front about telemarketing. Um, I call telemarketing the dark horse. Um, and you'll see it's kind of the footer of every one of the slides here. Because we often don't really think of it when a media plan is being built. Um, it's kind of a strange hybrid because it is a form of media um, in communication, and you can sell, particularly in B2B situations. Um, but it somehow is sort of I don't know, it's a stepchild. I mean, you're not always sure quite what it is, or what it does in marketing, how it works in the purchase funnel. But it's your customer service reps. It's in terms of inbound. Um, so it's not thought of. It's not front of mind, the front of the cortex of all of us marketers' brains. Yet it's a very important part of your marketing mix, particularly the inbound calling when customers want to call you or they need help. I like definitions. Tele means far, and marketing means, well, I don't know where that word exactly, the origin of that is. I'd be kind of interesting to find out. Marche, market, French, I don't know. Anyway, so it's marketing from afar. Here's some more modern people doing some marketing from afar, having a grand old time. And it can save time and money in terms of outbound. You can have if you have a really legitimate business. This is particularly for B2B, I would say. Your sales reps can call and cold call and try to get meetings with lots and lots of customers, and it's a lot easier to do it on the telephone to go around knocking on doors. So they have time to contact more companies. So it can be a very, even in the outbound side, can be a useful tool, but primarily in B2B situations when businesses are being called, not people. Yes, it's less effective than a door-to-door salesperson. Here's another definition. You can read it for yourself. And that's definitely the B2B part. Take orders and service customers, or to help in the solicitation of new business. So we have lots of definitions. Again, inbound and outbound. The outbound side, if it's B2C, can be invasive, as we saw in the Rozchast cartoon. So again, 4 kinds. There's inbound B2B, B2C, outbound B2B, and B2C. And the naughty kind is the outbound B2C. I'm just going to talk a little bit about each one of these now, and then raise. I know I never gave you an agenda for the presentation because it's supposed to be a short one, but you know me, I get a little wound up sometimes. So, inbound. Inbound B2B is when a business customer calls for service. And usually it's a situation where the B2B customer has a sales rep that she is dealing with at the company that's being called for service. And they'll just call right to the sales rep, have a nice chat, and the problem will be solved. Hopefully they don't have to go through a whole telephony system, press 1, press 2, press 3, where people are trying to automate, having an operator answer the call and send it to the right place. So they're saving a few headcount costs. But so B2B inbound is all good. It's a customer, a large customer probably, calling for help. So you want to make sure that's handled well in your company, and that the customers can get to the right person, and they don't go through a big press 1, press 2, because they want service. They're your best customers. In fact, a customer like 800 Flowers, where I worked running marketing for a few years, We had a lot of corporate clients. In fact, I was brought on board to run the corporate sales division, and those corporate clients had a special phone number that they could call and talk to a real person and get service. So, okay. Inbound B2C is the same. It's when you or I call up Amazon or Sephora or whoever we're doing business with, and we want some service. Maybe we want to place an order. This is where we're more likely to get stuck in a telephony system. But you want to have good people in your call centers answering these calls, who are empathetic, who can deal with customer service issues in a nice way and actually, fix the problems. They shouldn't have to get, 5 levels of supervisors to approve a rebate or a refund. They should have the ability to make decisions and do things for the customers and make things happen. This is an area that needs to be well handled in your company. You need good people in these call centers who can have empathy, who can talk to the customers and get things solved. Now, the outbound side, outbound B2B is going to be me calling my customer, of course, that's the obvious thing, but it's also me cold calling prospects because there's always attrition of customers. You lose, 15, 20% of your customers. They just don't renew for one reason or another. You need to replace them. You need to have every business needs to have an ongoing prospecting effort to find new customers, new customers from the business segments that are the best ones for you. And so you've got good people then doing cold calling. You've got salespeople who are well paid, who spend a portion of their day servicing current accounts and a portion of their day prospecting and trying to get appointments. And that's all positive. B2B outbound is positive. B2C outbound, where business is calling around and trying to sell people something, this is where we can run into problems. And this is where you get some of the robocalling and some of the dirty stuff that shouldn't be happening. So all of telemarketing tends to be thought of as Frosty the Clown over there. But just recognize that a lot of the other three parts, the other three kinds, are good and positive. Just making the point about empathy. People on the phone who are using the phone to communicate with customers or prospects need to have really good people skills and really have the ability to get someone to like them and really have empathy. And it's hard to find people like that, particularly at some of the lower salary things that happen in call centers. Here's a little piece from a book about direct marketing. These are the things that a good phone representative. And here I'm not thinking so much about the salesperson. I'm not thinking about B2B. I'm really thinking more about B2C here. Okay. This is the cold calling. This gets back so the B2B person doing the cold calling they usually don't like to do it. Salespeople don't like to cold call. It's hard to get rejected. None of us like it. But you need to focus on it and just keep at it and keep dialing. And if you set aside time every day to do it, you will eventually make some things happen. All right, so we talked about the 4 kinds of telemarketing in a little more detail. Some of the newer technology, voice over internet protocol, is just the fact that our phone calls are all over the internet now. And this means that because they're digital, they can be messed around with. And that hence robocalls, spoofing, and neighbor spoofing. I'm going to stop now, and I'll just have a little bit more about some legislation and a few other things, and then we'll wrap up.